Hi, and welcome to the 7th video tutorial. Today we are combining these two buttons and make a refresh button here so that when this page is loaded, the chart is loaded automatically, and when a user wants to refresh the chart, then they can press this button. Okay, so let's get started. So what we need is a function that covers this function right here, this function right here, and also this function because this function is using this function. And this function, which means everything. And I like to call it refresh because we are literally refreshing a chart. And we need to plug the stuff we need inside this function, just like that. And that's pretty much it. But we need to somehow modify this function because at the end of this function, it needs to call this show chart, and that's pretty much it. Okay, so in the HTML file, we need to somehow call this refresh button, and I like to do it in here because in the title, we need to put the refresh button here. So let's do that. Oh, and don't forget to comment these two buttons. Well, I don't like to use the title, so I'll just use a div and h tag. How about h2 Bitcoin? And also here I like to put ion row and I wanna use the format of this guy right here. Oops. And I need to change the name of the function that this button calls, and I want to name it refresh. I already opened this tab and I want to use this icon. So you can go to this website and copy this piece of code and copy this and paste it here. Okay. So now let's check it here. So if I press this button, then it draws a chart. So this is nearly completed, but we need to complete the design. For instance, this B had this huge margin with the left edge, and this button really should be here. Okay, so let's do that. First of all, the margin can be put just like this. Style margin left. How about 30 pixels? And we can always check. Okay, that looks good. And also that button, we can put class ion justify content end. So that's going to make this button be located ion justify content end. Oh, this is my mistake. Here, I'm using two ion rows. I don't really need to do that. And now it's gonna work. Okay. And now we also need the huge margin to the right edge, and we need to pull this to the top. Okay. The way to do that is this. It's similar to this, basically. Style, but this time style margin, but this time I don't just want to put this to one direction, I want to put it left and up, right? So in order to do that, I just put colon there, and it goes clockwise, and top is the first direction. So I need to go to the top, which means margin top should be around, how about like 40 pixels? And to the right, I want to have 30 pixels and 0 and 0. If it is 0, you don't need to put the unit. There are so many units. For instance, you can put like VH, VW, and so on and so forth. I'll explain it in the later videos. Okay, so with those margins, that's perfect. So if I press this button, it refreshes. And if I press this button again, it refreshes again. Cool. Now we need to do the very last step to complete this tutorial, which is, for instance, when I load this page, it doesn't do anything. And so what I want to do is whenever I load this page, it iterates this refresh function so that it has the same effect when I press this button. Okay? And to do that is really simple. We basically have two choices. First one is ion view will enter, and second choice is ng on init. I mean, of course, we have the third choice, which is ion view did load, but this is nearly the same as ng on init, so I'll just ignore it. Okay, and we are first going to do the second method first, and then we are going to try first method and see how they're the same in this specific example, and I'll explain the difference later after we finish these two examples. And that will complete this the entire lecture. Okay, so first one, implements on init. So it complains, and then we need ng on init, and after we put that, it doesn't complain anymore, and we just simply need to put this refresh. That's it. So when it refreshes, see, if I refresh, see, it does this. Now let's do the first one, ion view will enter. It doesn't complain. It's Ionic's favorite. Okay, so they basically do the same thing, right, in this specific example, but the difference is ng on init is executed when this page is firstly loaded in your app, but ion view will enter is, oops, this complains because I'm not using ng on init anymore, so I technically need to get rid of that in order to use this without this. Okay, but going back to the point, ion view will enter iterates this function every time this page is loaded, but ng on init iterates this function when this page is firstly loaded. So if you need your initial process to be iterated only once when your page is firstly loaded, then you can use ng on init or ion view did load, the one I scrapped out. And if you need your initial function to be iterated whenever your page is loaded, then you want to use ion view will enter. Okay, so this completes this entire tutorial. You guys really did a good job. Like, you learned like how to make an app in like 40 minutes. That's awesome. So keep up the good work, and if you really liked my videos, then please comment below, because otherwise I don't know if I'll keep making videos in English. Okay, so I hope you leave the comments below, and I'll see you in the next time.